Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the pitch at the Atlantic Council. I'm Adrienne Arsht, Executive Vice Chair of the Atlantic Council and founder of the Adrienne Arsht Latin America Center and the Adrienne Arsht National Security Resilience Initiative. I'm delighted that today's event features two countries that embrace soccer, or football, as part of their national identity. Two teams that share the passion for the game, for the unity it creates, and the excitement it generates. While Brazil and Morocco will soon meet on the pitch on June 13th, taking the field today are their two distinguished players here in Washington. Representing Team Brazil, Ambassador Maria Luisa Ribeiro Viotta, and representing Morocco, Ambassador Youssef Amrani, the ambassador of the Kingdom of Morocco to the United States. Sports have a unique ability to connect across borders, cultures, and languages. They inspire national pride and create economic opportunity, personify resilience, and increasingly serve as a platform for international cooperation and engagement. That is why, at the Atlantic Council, we are focused on the power of sports, a new program which leverages major global events to advance diplomacy and development. But what a better way to feature the power of sports if not ahead of the kickoff of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and featuring Brazil, one of the most storied teams in world football, and Morocco, a team that has captured global attention with its talent, discipline, and historic rise on the world stage. Two football nations, two passionate fan bases, and one stage. This morning promises a matchup full of opportunities for policy, diplomacy, cooperation, and of course, soccer, football. I look forward to the discussion, and I know that our moderator today, Valentina Sedar, will be a fair and impartial referee, despite being Brazilian. And now, I think we will have an exchange of jerseys. Now, Valentina.
Thank you, Adrienne. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. I love that we have the jerseys here to represent the teams. And good morning, everyone. As Adrienne mentioned, I am Brazilian, but I promise to be impartial. I'm Valentina Sader, the Director of Strategy and Programs here at the Adrienne Arsht Latin America Center. Before we kick off this match, I wanted to quickly spotlight our coaches here today. We had our head coach, Fred Kemp, President and CEO of the Atlantic Council, here with us today. And of course, our partners, Andrew Peak from the Adrienne Arsht National Security Resilience Initiative, and Ambassador Rama Ayad from the Africa Center, who are partners for today's event. Ambassador Viotti and Ambassador Amrani, with all due respect, we might not be here today because of your abilities with soccer, but you're both Ballon d'Or winners of diplomacy. Ambassador Viotti is a career diplomat within the Brazilian Foreign Service, having represented Brazil in Bolivia, Germany, and the United Nations. She held positions in areas of trade promotion, multilateral organizations, and bilateral policy. Ambassador Amrani is also a career diplomat representing the Kingdom of Morocco. He represented Morocco all over the world, including in Latin America, in Panama, Mexico, Guatemala, South Africa, just to name a few. For the fans of soccer or diplomacy joining us today here in Washington or virtually, we'd also like to hear from you. So for those here at the Atlantic Council Stadium, we'll have some time for you to ask questions directly to our players at the end. But for those of you watching virtually from home, you can submit your questions via askac.org. Before we turn to sports diplomacy and the broader Brazil-Morocco relationship, I'd like to start with the moment itself. The 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup kicks off for both Brazil and Morocco with the opening match for both countries on June 13, between two countries with, as Adrian mentioned, strong football identities and growing global visibility. So I must ask the most important question of the day. How are each of you feeling about this game? Confident, nervous, excited? How are we feeling? Ambassador Biaggi, let's start with you.
Maybe all three. I'm definitely confident, excited, of course, but a bit nervous because, as you know, Morocco is a very strong team. They are one of the strongest in the world. They're ranking number 6, I believe, now in the FIFA ranking. So a very strong team. They're very praised for their tactical intelligence, their discipline, their counter-attacking abilities. So it's going to be a very interesting and exciting game, and I'm looking forward to it.
What about you, Ambassador?
Well, before starting, let me say one sentence.
Please.
You are lucky today, all of you, because you have in front of you 1 century of foreign policy and diplomacy. Her and me put together. Together, we start almost the same period as diplomats.
Yes.
We have the same age, but you are more multilateral and I am more bilateral. It's only difference. But I'm very happy, Maria Luisa, to be here with you and also to recognize the presence of one colleague, the ambassador of Portugal, who is here with us. He's going to host with us the next World Cup, Morocco and Spain. Yes, I'm like Maria Luisa, mixed feelings. But what I can say, yesterday I was in the airport in New Jersey receiving the Moroccan soccer team who came yesterday. So we are confident about our capabilities. We know we are playing the first match against a very important team, one of the best in the world, who taught the world the Gioco Bono, the good game, Brazil. And I met talented football players with a lot of ambition, and they are arriving here to win, of course. And we will try to do our best. And before giving you the floor back, I want to thank this lady, this beautiful lady, Adrienne, my friend, and should be, if you go, invite her to her house. You will see which kind of decoration and the kind of people, Adrienne, right, you receive. And thanks to her, I met a lot of football fans and others.
And I see that we have fans from all over the world
Yes,
here. I saw someone from Cameroon. I see Mexico represented. Of course, the ambassador of Portugal to the US. Ambassador Biaggi, I wanted to start asking you also, look, Brazil has the history, the superstars, and the legacy of World Cup glory, but Morocco really has the momentum, the passion, and the team that surprised the world in 2022. What should Morocco be most worried about when facing Brazil?
Well, Brazil, as you know, has always had individual attacking talent. And this generation is not different. So you can count on individual talents that have the ability of changing the match in a single moment. So this has been a feature of the Brazilian soccer football style. So maybe you could watch for Vini Jr., for Endrick, for potentially Neymar to have special moments in the game.
What about you, Ambassador? What should
Well,
Brazil be worried about?
I think what Maria Luisa said is true. Brazil are artists in the art of playing football. A good attacker, Vinicius and so on, Rodrigo, Endrick and so on. Good defense, Militao and others. I know them, all of them, because I'm a fan of football. But Morocco has talented new players. And this is, I think I want to say something here. Morocco started the strategy since 20 years. Thanks to the vision of the King Mohammed VI, we created the academy, football academy, that mixes education and football. And thanks to this academy, we have these results today. Morocco was semi-final in Qatar, has beaten, I'm sorry for Bajado, beaten Portugal and Spain. This was a great achievement. We won the championship of U22 or 21. So we had the tools and we had the vision and the ambition to play football. But football, we see it as a game. Yes, it is a game, but it is more than a game because we teach this young generation to mingle, to build bridges between Latin America and Africa. And I think, of course, we are learning from Brazil. Brazil was the first to the Jogo Bono, this good game, and we're playing almost the same. So we'll see, and on the 13th, who's going to win. In any case, this day I'll not be her friend. But the rest of the year, yes, I'm her friend.
That is right. But on the legacy of sports and the importance of sports, Ambassador Viotti, it's been 12 years since Brazil hosted the 2014 FIFA Men's World Cup and 10 years since he hosted the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio. How do these mega global events serve as catalysts of investment and tourism, as well as development opportunities for Brazil? In a way, the ambassador was referring to the investment that Morocco put forth on education and bringing in sports through education. What's the legacy that those mega events have left for Brazil?
Well, the legacy has been definitely very positive. And when I was preparing for this conversation, I was looking on the internet and I found a very interesting article published by the Atlantic Council. The article was by the current ambassador here, Ambassador Mauro Vieira, who is now our Minister of Foreign Affairs. And Mauro Vieira, in this article, was saying that the legacy of the World Cup, even then, was undeniably positive, both in material and symbolic dimensions. And he highlighted the importance of the infrastructure that was built in Brazil, modernization of ports, airports, roads, highways, and other critical infrastructure that continue to serve the citizens now and also to support Brazil in a number of events that we have held since the World Cup, large events, the Olympic Games in 2016, and then Copa America and many other events. He also highlighted the fact that the main legacy for us was perhaps less tangible than those physical infrastructure investments and so on, but very important, the fact that in spite of the national team's performance, and you know it was a major trauma for Brazil, a major frustration and disappointment, but in spite of that, Brazil was able to project far and wide the image of a large democratic country that had accomplished a great deal in terms of social and economic development, and also he highlighted the openness, the joy, the tolerance, and warmth of its people, which he thought was projected in a very interesting way, thanks to the Cup in the global stage. So I think that this legacy still remains. I think after the Cup, we saw a boost in tourism. We saw many new developments in Brazil that would not have been there if it were not for the Cup. So I think it's definitely very positive.
And on that note, Ambassador Viaggi, as Morocco prepares to be a co-host of the 2030 FIFA World Cup, what are some of the lessons that, based on these experiences, this legacy that you are referring to, what lessons can you share with Morocco as it prepares to host the 2030 FIFA World Cup alongside Spain and Portugal? And then there are 3 matches in South America as well, but what are some of the lessons there in terms of preparation for such mega events and for ensuring that the legacies are positive for Morocco as well?
Yeah. Well, in terms of preparation, I think that for us, one of the most important takeaways is the fact that this physical infrastructure that we invested in and we were able to build has a very important effect, long-term effect in the country. So I know that Morocco is already in the midst of a very important infrastructure program. So there's nothing that I could say that would be new to their preparation. But I think that one of the most important elements to Brazil was the fact that Brazil, as I mentioned, had the opportunity to take advantage of this global focus on us, to showcase our strength, our culture, our diversity, the stunning landscapes that we have in Brazil. So this is something that, of course, Morocco also can take advantage of and showcase its historic cities like Marrakesh and Fez, its cultural diversity. So I think it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for Morocco to increase its visibility in the world stage and also its economic development.
And I think on that note, Ambassador Amrani, this will only be the second time that an African country hosts this tournament following South Africa in 2014. What does this moment represent for Morocco, both nationally and internationally? And beyond the matches, how is Morocco thinking about the broader economic infrastructure, tourism, and cultural opportunities tied to the World Cup? But specifically, Morocco is building what will be the largest stadium in the world, hosting 115 spectators.
Let me say, first, I agree with Maria Luisa when she stated the declaration or the paper of the foreign minister of Brazil as far as the scope of football. We understand in Morocco, since a long time ago, more than 20 years ago, that football and sport became a major instrument of soft power. And also international engagement. Maria Luisa was talking about this. So that's why we made this important investment in education, culture, but also in the economic development of the country. Because football, sport, economic development are the 2 faces of the same coin. We have the ambition, of course, not only men, football for men and women. Don't forget women, but they play a very important role in high-level sport diplomacy. So today, from an African perspective, we believe that this soft power will encourage, I don't want to link it with the political problems, but the integration of a young generation as far as job creation, as far as economic development, is an important tool to find all kinds of extremism and so on. It's very important because we need to integrate more. So that's why, from an African perspective, the World Cup represents something important for Africa. We are not or no longer only participating in this global conversation, but today Africa is shaping this conversation and in playing its own role. So we did our own homework internally in Morocco as investment, as in infrastructure. We are building, we have just hosted the African AFCON, World of Africa was successful. Lot of success in the sport level, but also in fair of building infrastructure, high-speed trains. Now you can travel from Tangier to Marrakesh, with the high-speed train. So we can, and we see the World Cup. And my friend, dear colleague that I know for years, ambassador of Portugal, that he's going to work with us in the World Cup. We believe that 2030 World Cup will be again a bridge between Africa, between Europe, the Mediterranean region, and we need this very badly. So when we decided to host this World Cup with Brazil and Spain, we thought that it will be an important driver for economic development, for investment, and so on. So we should see sport as, I'm sorry to say that, 90 minutes of football is more than 2 years in diplomacy. You get it?
I think that's the quote that we're going to be sure to share later on.
So we see the World Cup as a major accelerator of long-term national transformation, because we need to transfer it, and Brazil and Morocco are transforming since a long time. We share the Atlantic, of course, but we are, there was a beautiful, Maria Luisa, you remember this soap, Cologne?
Yes,
It's very fantastic, very.
Opera, yes, I remember.
So this is something I thought it was done by Morocco. No, but it was done by Brazilian, and all the women, all this. It was famous all over the world, Cologne. So I used to watch this, and I understand that Brazil very much. So this is, we have the ambition, and we have the determination, not only to play soccer, but also to build our country. And maybe when we talk about Brazil and Morocco, I think but I cannot speak because she is the expert on multilateralism. we are, of course, working together to build up a new world, to review the instrument of the UN, of course, but she is here. She can tell us about the reform of the Security Council, all these difficult issues.
We'll definitely get into the bilateral relationship in a minute, but I think it's interesting from both of your answers to understand the importance of culture, like Cologne, for example, as the soap opera, but also sports as a way of spotlighting each one of your countries and actually creating this correlation and cooperation between us, right? I wanted to remind our fans here that we can take questions from the audience in a minute, but also if you want to submit your questions for those watching us virtually, you can do so through askac.org, and we can start asking those questions soon. But Ambassador, you mentioned something that I think is important for us to highlight, which is the Women's World Cup.
Yes.
And obviously, Brazil is actually going to host the next summer's FIFA's Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important for us to also discuss a bit of the momentum that this current World Cup is bringing to the Women's World Cup in Brazil. So what do you foresee as being this continued opportunity for us to continue to talk about sports diplomacy, but football specifically, in bringing this attention, this global focus to women in particular?
Yes. No, I think it's really very important. We are very honored and proud to be able to host the 2027 tournament in Brazil. And we hope to create this same atmosphere of goodwill, of cooperation that we saw in the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, when people from all over the world came together and enjoyed the moment of relaxation, of joy, of coming together. So this is what we are aiming also for the 2027, in addition to the fact that it also helps us elevate human rights issues, women's issues, the status of women, and so on. So this will be an opportunity that we will cherish and try to take advantage of to the most.
And Ambassador Amrani, Moroccan women's team, the Atlas Leonesses,
Yes.
was the first Arab and North African nation to qualify for a FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023, advancing to the round of 16. Similarly, how do you foresee the momentum around Moroccan soccer playing out for the next FIFA Women's World Cup and for the women's team?
I will answer the following. Yes, football is important, but the integration of women, gender equality, promotion of women's rights are the most important issues for Morocco. And that's why in our country, and again, thanks to the vision of the king, we have introduced in an Arab and Muslim country a legislation that that insists on the equality for jobs, for government responsibilities, because we cannot move today if the woman is not equal to men. So sport is important. Of course, it was, well, unfortunately, sport was a men game, but today is a women game. But it is a whole package. The role of women, the integration of women in development is one of our priority. This is my answer.
And I wanted to bring back one topic that we were discussing earlier on that Ambassador Viotti brought up in terms of the legacy of the World Cup as an enforcer in bringing the attention of the international community to the host countries. Morocco's 2022 FIFA Men's World Cup run to the semifinals resonated far beyond the country's border, especially across Africa and the Arab world. How do you see football continuing to build upon the success and contributing to Morocco's international profile and diplomatic engagement within Africa, but also globally?
Yes, globally, we have a lot of players today who are playing in Europe. So we are building bridges with the UK, with Spain. Yesterday I was talking to Brahim Diaz. Brahim Diaz is a player of my team. Don't say it, Real Madrid, because now we are here, I'm Morocco, not Real Madrid. I told them, what about the penalty? You can see in the video. See, we don't want this anymore here. So I think this is the soft power. And of course, the infrastructure is important. And also the integration of young generation. Again, thanks to this vision of Morocco, we have no football like in Brazil. You know, in next to the favelas, there were football. And this helped to integrate a lot of, and it's the case also in Morocco. We have now building small infrastructure around all the township for football and other sports. So the young can find the place where to interact with the society. We have to integrate. Then the biggest, at the largest scale is the issue of investment, because football is a major driver for economic development. Infrastructure in train, stadiums, you know. We are building the biggest stadium in the world in Casablanca, near Casablanca. It will be something beautiful. We are ready for the World Cup 2030 with Portugal and Spain. So I think we should see sport or football as important soft power to integrate, to promote this culture of solidarity, of culture of respect of the other. It's very important because the values of football, we need them today badly at the international scene, you know. Footballs of sharing, about competing, respecting the other, looking for compromise. This is our job also in diplomacy. We are always looking for compromise, for negotiations, and football is a negotiation process that, of course, once wins, but you have to respect the other, the opponent. So this is the way how I see football myself. I watch football every weekend, you know. I know everything about football, you know.
Any other sports that you tend to watch?
I like football. For me, it's.
What about you, Ambassador Viotti? Any other sports?
I like swimming. I used to swim when I was younger.
You see, I would just say one other note about women and sport. Mm-hmm. My DCM here in Washington, yes. You ask her any question, any result, who's playing today, tomorrow, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, she knows everything.
We are all big fans of soccer and of sports in general. But I wanted us to also turn the conversation a little bit to the bilateral relationship between Brazil and Morocco. Ambassador Viotti, Brazil and Morocco have long-standing diplomatic ties, but this World Cup matchup offers a timely opportunity to look at the relationship with fresh eyes. Where do you see the greatest opportunities to deepen bilateral cooperation in the coming years between Brazil and Morocco?
Well, we have already very strong relations. Trade has been growing between Brazil and Morocco. Morocco is a great supplier of fertilizers and phosphates to Brazil, which is fundamental to our agricultural production. Brazil also supplies Morocco with commodities, but also industrial products. So this trade has been growing. We see a potential for further expansion and also cooperation in many different sectors, not only in agriculture, but also water management in many different areas. And there is a lot of sympathy and support and affection for Moroccans in Brazil. You know, our relations go back to the 1900s, when we received Moroccan immigrants that came to Brazil, attracted by the boom in the rubber industry in the Amazon region. And in 1861, Brazil opened the first consulate in Morocco in Tangiers. Yes. So we go back a long time, and I think that this passion for football, this common affinities, the affinities that we have will certainly be a stepping stone for us to continue to develop our bilateral relations.
And Ambassador Amrani, I think on that same note, Ambassador Viotti was mentioning the agricultural powerhouse that Brazil is, and Morocco as a key supplier of fertilizers to Brazil, which is essential to Brazil's agricultural production and deeply important for global food security worldwide. In 2025, Brazil imported approximately $1.2 billion in fertilizers from Morocco. From Morocco's perspective, how can this important trade connection serve as a foundation for deeper cooperation with Brazil? And beyond the commodities trade, what else can we see?
Well, thank you for your question. I think what I should say at this level is that Morocco and Brazil represent a very compelling example as far as a successful South-South cooperation. It's very important. South-South cooperation, but also a new transatlantic link from, if I might say so, southern perspective or global South. So we share with Brazil the same strategic similarities, strong regional leadership in Latin America, in Mercosur, in Morocco, in Africa, and to the Atlantic shore of the Africa. Of course, you say that, and I'm going to repeat it. Agriculture and food security are the central pillars of our partnership. Of course, we are, as you said, a major leader in exporting phosphates, and you are also a leader in agriculture. So this is also very good complementarity and very good, of course, cooperation. And all these elements, we are buying Embraer, and I'm not making it's a very good plane, by the way. You know, I travel it in America very often in the short distance. So this makes the important strategic complementarity between our two economies. So industry also is, and there are tremendous opportunities to work bilaterally and support our South-South cooperation. We share also, and I think we still have some time, a very good vision, Atlantic vision. We in Africa and you in Latin America. Of course, we are working on, we have a tremendous an ambitious Atlantic vision to link the corridors within Africa. It's very important to bring stability and prosperity in our region, thanks again to the vision and this Atlantic vision of Morocco towards the southern Africa, and also to create more stability in giving access, for example, to the sea, to the landlocked countries in the Sahel, where there is a lot of instability and problems. I think it is very important to give these countries access to the sea. Access to the sea, and you have that in Latin America, is also access to prosperity, to trade, and this is very important. So I think we share also the same vision as far as the reorganization of the Bretton Woods instrument, including the Security Council. Of course, I am speaking under your control, because it is a very hard task. But anyhow, we are working on this issue. So I think not only we share the same values for the South, but we're working together in the international fora to move this ahead. Now, and we should not always. We talked about soft power. We talked about football. We should also talk about culture and about music. You know, I will tell you that the very important. She's a minister, but she is also artist from Brazil, Margaret Menezes. So she expected to go to Morocco not only for official visit, but to perform in the Mawazin festival. And the connection between the samba and the gnawa, or this this music, it's fantastic. It creates something that we felt, When you go to Rio de Janeiro, for example, one day I went to Rio de Janeiro. I don't go to, to Copacabana or to Ipanema. I go to Lapa. Because Lapa, where you can listen to music from Brazil. You know. Of course, I know. I know Brazil very well.
An honorary Brazilian here.
So I think that the culture is also an element that brings people together. It's important, because at the end of the day is how much friendship, how much relation would you create. Football is one, economic is other, but the cultural, the people-to-people interaction is important.
I agree.
And on that note, I wanted to make sure that our fans here can also ask their questions. So if you'd like to ask a question, just wave your flag so we know that you are interested in asking questions. And I already saw some. But before we go to the audience in person, I did see a question here come up from the virtual audience, actually quite a few. But I'll ask this one in particular. Ambassador Amrani, this one is for you. You mentioned that 90 minutes of football can equal 2 years of diplomacy. We have seen examples where football matches affected bilateral relations, such as the tensions between Egypt and Algeria after the 2009 World Cup qualifiers, and more recently the debate surrounding CAF decisions in the Morocco and Senegal context. When a major football event creates political pressure and international criticism, how can diplomacy help protect a country's reputation, rebuild trust, and transform sporting tensions into opportunities for dialogue and cooperation, which I think is a little bit of what we talked about a lot here.
For me?
Yes.
Well, dialogue is essential. I said that there are some values that we should respect. They respect the rules of the game, respect the others. If you lose, you have to shake hands and say it. But don't break the rules. This is important. Of course, normally we should not need diplomacy to resolve these issues, because we have too many issues to resolve and too many conflicts in the world. So football should be something that brings people together. Now they have the rules, and we have to abide by the rules. This is the most important for me. And we need to, how we say that in French, to be, quand on perd, on est fair play.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah.
This is the way. Fair play is important. Look, 13th, we want to play together. Now you will ask me who's going to win,
I'm going to ask that at the
okay,
end.
I will.
I do want to know that. But to be fair, let's ask a question from the audience here. I'm going to be fair and ask one from the Brazilian side. For those watching virtually, we have a Brazil flag side and a Morocco flag side. So, but let's start with you here. We have a mic runner right there. If you can introduce yourself and ask your question, please.
Good morning. I'm
Good morning.
Marjorie. Thank you, Atlantic Council, for great creative discussion. I have a question for both ambassadors. For Ambassador Viotti, I believe Brazil's in our soul, and that we live and die soccer. Are we unique in that point of view for soccer when we play World Cup? And then for Ambassador Amarani, in Morocco, do you feel that soccer also is part of the Moroccan soul in the same way? Yes or no, and why?
So basically, if soccer is part of our identity in a unique way for Brazil, or if so for Morocco as well?
Yes, I think that soccer football, is very linked to our identity as a people, and I think it's also a reflection of our culture, our music, our dance, the way we move. So I think that this reflects also a Brazilian kind of a way of being, and a way of being creative, innovative in the field, which also reflects our mindset in life. So I think that soccer and Brazilian identity is very much the same. Yeah.
What about for Morocco?
I think I agree completely with Maria Luisa. I think that football is a game. It's a game and you have to enjoy. And it is in Moroccan's DNA. Before Pelé, we had Labi Bembarek. He's La Perla Negra, they call it in Spain. He was playing Atletico de Madrid in France. He's the same, but this was in the 50s. And Morocco was always seen football as a link with Spain, because of course Morocco was colonized by France and Spain a long time ago, and we have all these players. They have a double nationality playing. So it is, we had all the stadiums in the world, in the region, and Morocco was playing in La Liga Española in the 50s and in the 60s. So you see, it is something in our. So it's not strange to us. Now, football has changed. It becomes more. I don't say it. It's not here for Infantino. A lot of business. Mm-hmm. They need a lot of money, and it's something huge, And the players, you see, 150 million. Yesterday, the president of Real Madrid was talking about buying a player for 150 million euros. It's a budget of a country in Southern Africa, It's really so. Okay, it's good because when you make money, you can invest, you can promote, but the football still remains a game between 22 players, 90 or 120, depends if you are equals. I hope we don't reach 120 minutes. No, we don't. It's points. It's only 90 minutes, no more. So wish you good luck.
Can I add a point? Because
please.
I forgot to mention a very important information about Brazil, Morocco, and Morocco connection in terms of football,
yes.
Which was José Faria. Yes, José Faria, Medi Faria, was a coach, Brazilian coach that went to Morocco in the 80s, and in a way kind of tried to impart some of the Brazilian soccer culture to Morocco.
Exactly.
And he became
Moroccan and Muslim.
Moroccan.
And married to Moroccan.
And was buried there.
So we integrated him.
Yes. So it's a great connection between our two countries. And he also represents this kind of same
connection.
Not only connection, but the way of feeling football and the joy of football.
The shared identity that football brings to both of us. Yeah. I wanted to. I see another question here on the Brazil side, but I wanted to be sure that I'm giving an opportunity for those on the Moroccan side. Go ahead, please. We have a mic runner
to the Moroccan
right
side.
there. Yes.
Sure. So thank you very much. I'm Yunus from the Moroccan Embassy. Thank you to the Atlantic Council for having such an interesting discussion. Thank you for both ambassadors for their perspective, very interesting. we spoke about the past, we spoke about the future, but we didn't mention the present. Maybe I would love to have the ambassadors having a comment about the US organization and how they organize the 2026 World Cup. Thank you very much.
I think that's a great question. We also had a question here asking about that as well, and the meaningful of these three countries that we have represented here, US, Mexico, and Canada, hosting the World Cup together. Want to start, Ambassador Namrani?
Okay, start. I think it's a very good question. I think yesterday I was in New Jersey to receive our Moroccan football team. The organization was perfect. They brought some trailers to the airport. So all the issues of migration were done in the tarmac. This was important. For me, for Morocco, it is important that this World Cup is happening while we are celebrating 250 years of the US-Moroccan relations. You know, Morocco was the first country to recognize the independence of the US in 1777. Two, and my second element, and this is I'm talking to my colleague, I'm happy that after that, we will host the next World Cup with Portugal and Spain.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ambassador Viaggi?
Well, I totally agree. The organization seems excellent, and it's very interesting and meaningful that this World Cup is being shared by the US, by Mexico, and Canada. It is a sign of bringing countries together and also cooperation that we very much need in today's world. So I really appreciate that.
And I had one more question, and I'll turn to you as well for a final question from the audience in DC. But sports often, like we've been discussing this entire conversation, create openings for dialogue that traditional diplomacy sometimes cannot. Brazil and Morocco each play important roles in their respective regions. At the Atlantic Council, obviously, we believe, per our name, that only with friends and allies can we secure the future. And with that in mind, how are you seeing that Brazil and Morocco can work together to strengthen South-South cooperation, which you mentioned at the beginning, among Latin America, Africa, but also the broader Atlantic community? And I wanted to start with you, Ambassador Viaggi.
Well, I think that we already cooperate very much in international fora, in a number of initiatives. And I think that Morocco and Brazil can build on this very good cooperation, the strong bilateral relations, to combine their strengths, their complementarities, and work together with other nations in triangular cooperation with African countries, Latin American countries, based on what we have built in tropical agriculture, in water management in Morocco. You know, fertilizers are very important for many, many different countries. So we have the basis for cooperating further between ourselves, but also extending this cooperation to other countries. And concerning the Atlantic, which is a neighborhood that we share, even if distant, Brazil has long had an initiative called the Zone of Peace and Cooperation in the South Atlantic, which Morocco very much supports and is a strategic partner to us, even if it's further north. But this is also has been a good instrument of cooperation for us.
Well, I think I agree with Maria Luisa. I start with something with expressing satisfaction to what Brazil has achieved in Latin America, and especially as far as regional integration schemes. The example of Mercosur for me, I don't know if it's still, because I lived in Latin America, in Chile, in Mexico. The Mercosur was really a very good example of regional integration, interconnecting networks, working on tariffs, which is one of the major issues. And I think this is that we lack maybe in our region in Africa. Your example is really very insightful. Now, two, I believe that we should continue to work on the Atlantic because the majority of threats and threats are in the Atlantic, in Southern Atlantic. You have your initiative, we have our initiative. I think we should work together to interconnect networks because today, as far as maritime security, as far as economic development, as far as energy issues and transportation. So I think this is something that we can work. We have an initiative in Africa, and I think today we need to reinforce this southern perspective or this global south perspective. This is from the other part, other sides. I think we are working together very well. We have now direct flights from Sao Paulo.
Yes, that's very
while
important.
Morocco from Sao Paulo to Casablanca, you can, in 7 hours, you can cross the Atlantic, and it is very successful. I hope we'll be the only one, Royal Emirates, to be there. We don't have any other companies to come, but it is working very well, and we're going to double the planes from in the Atlantic. So, and finally, I think what is important is that we share the same values with Brazil. The values are very important because they help to do business, they help to bring people together, values of democracy, human rights, other values, the culture, because we are cultures of the South. Brazil is unique because we have everything, but Morocco also, we have the Amazigh, we have the people from the north, from Fez. So it's a melting pot that it's a diversity that brings more interest to work together.
If we have time, we have time for one more question. I will take the question over here at the front.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to ask both ambassadors. You say very important question when you were speaking about investments.
Yes.
Both of you represent both countries, and they should happen all over the world. Why we don't concentrate on more investments, on human resources, and people to relationship? There are many countries, they have a so-called in sports, in football, underdogs. Morocco was underdog in the World Cup. Look what happened. It shows that can be done. But without the relationship between peoples to people is the most important. Anywhere you mentioned some, why the country don't invest to search for the underdogs, search for the peoples to people relationship? The diplomacy is very difficult to solve. You know that. But peoples to people can work together. I see this through life. But this is what I have a question. Why don't the countries not invest in the people relationship and the business, small businesses? That's my personal opinion.
Yes, can I answer?
Please.
Yes. I agree completely with you, and this is exactly our policy. Today, investment is crucial. We are now, Morocco, thanks to what we have done, achieved. Because to have good investment, attractive investment, you need to have the guarantee scheme. You have to have a good financial sector, a good banking sector. And you need for that to make the reforms. And we, Morocco, we make, since 30 years, the necessary info in order to open our economy, to conclude free trade agreement. So there with Europe, we have advanced status, a free trade. With the US, 20 years, we have celebrated 20 years of free trade agreement. And that's why, and the result will come. And I will come to you at the other side of the coin. So today, Morocco is the hub for automotive industry. We are the major automotive industry in the continent in Africa. We are now have the major airplane industries in Casablanca, Boeing. Of course, for that, you need to have the guarantee schemes, the tools, but also you need to have the human resources to be able to work. And this education is one of our major investments. So, and Brazil, Embraer now is building some of the parts in Morocco in this Casablanca hub for airplane. So there is no secret. You have to work. You have to have a good financial system, good reforms, and good education. If you don't have good engineers, you are moving nowhere.
Ambassador Viotti.
I totally agree. I don't have much to add to that. But I would say, I would once again highlight the importance of football for people-to-people ties. It's something that brings people together. Think of how many people are coming from all over the world to the US and interacting with other soccer fans in many different venues here in the US. And this is something that can really develop ties and develop cooperation that will lead then to all those consequences, and economic consequences as well. So I totally agree.
And then to wrap, I wanted to come back to June 13th, which is when we're actually going to see Brazil and Morocco play.
Valentina.
I'll start with Ambassador Viotti then. What do you think the prediction will be for the final score, Ambassador Viotti?
Well, I know that Brazil is coming for the Hexa.
Yes,
As you know, Brazil is a penta champion. We are the only nation that has won 5 times the World Cup. So we are definitely coming for the Hexa.
Go Team Brazil. And then for you, Ambassador Amrani, what's your prediction of the final score and which nation will win the tournament this year?
I'm betting money on it. That's your answer.
Okay. Regardless of the final score, Morocco and Brazil are already winning. Winning because we are winning because we have a vision, we have an ambition, and I think that we are all going to win. Maybe I give you, please, can you, Valentina, organize another?
We'll do so.
Before the final, Morocco-Brazil.
Wow. Go Team Morocco now. Well, with that, that's the full time and the final whistle. And it was a great game between Brazil and Morocco today, and it will be so on June 13th. Please, the final whistle, Adrian.
Good.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Amrani. Thank you so much, Ambassador Viotti. And the World Cup is just beginning, and so are we here at the Atlantic Council. So we invite you to continue to follow along for the Atlantic Council's Power of Sports programming. Our next Atlantic Council Embassy Dialogue match is on June 15th, featuring Panama and Croatia. See you then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.